And we're live. Sorry about that.
Right
Hey,
on.
everyone.
It must be AT&T.
Yeah, we're 5 minutes late. It's not the end of the world.
Is that what it was? AT&T behind all this?
Oh, yeah. Well, it
No,
was
it
the Chinese
was
manipulating
operator.
AT&T.
It was a Chinese robotic solar flare. That's,
It came across in a
Is that-
balloon.
Chinese gremlins.
I didn't have any issues.
No,
Me
I
either.
didn't either.
I did.
Me
Mine
either.
was down. Mine
Really?
was down most of the day, actually.
Huh.
Came back maybe 2. I called my buddy that was sitting right next to me, and he's like, "Hello." It's like, "Hey, I guess it's working." So,
All
yeah.
right. Well, this week I have news.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I did not watch either one of the movies all the way through.
Oh, no.
But you've seen them before.
No, I mean I've seen Platoon, but like I apparently didn't remember it as well as I thought I did. But I just like the last couple of nights I've taken some sleep aid, and it's like I missed a day. Somehow I missed Wednesday.
Oh,
So, I just didn't get my movies watched like I should have. My apologies. But
Hey,
I
I'm
did
getting people.
watch True Detective. So,
oh yeah.
hey,
I'm getting
Landa.
people say that
Landa and Mike
they're having
Lewis are
problems.
here.
Land and Mike, I'm having people say they're having problems finding us.
Well, that could be because of our faux
Yeah.
pas in getting
We
started.
were. It was the solar flares.
Yes, it's the slow. We'll say it's the slower. It's not me. It wasn't
Hi,
me at all.
Max. I like Max's comment.
He does that
Oh,
every
there we
week.
go. He does.
We're all good.
Hey,
Tony?
Tonya.
Tony's here.
Lisa's hopping.
All right. Well, we're a little late. 7 minutes after, and we're just now getting started. So,
Alan
hey, Alan.
Lassiter's here.
Which I have to
Well,
say, since Alan Lassiter's here, that if y'all did not watch the special Weird Realities from last Saturday night, you really should. It's the longest ever Weird Realities show. We went for 3.5 hours, no potty breaks, and
wow.
and then we had an after show that went on for probably another 30 minutes. It was great.
Wow. Nice.
You're right, Mike. It was the Chinese communist TikTok hackers using a balloon that went across the states.
Correct. Solar flare balloon.
Yeah. Paid for by the
Send
Russians.
Tina a link.
He
Trying to send
was
Tina a
very
link to
interesting,
get on.
Max. I'm interested for him to come back because he was just getting warmed up when I think it was over.
Yeah, Ash raved about the show. He loved it.
I didn't even see him. I was there for a little bit and I had to leave.
Well, we went long, Rich.
I know.
You were only a blip on the radar.
An hour's blip on a 3-hour radar.
3.5 hour. It was 3.5.
3.5 hours.
You were only there for the first 60 minutes of it. It's like we didn't even know. Hey, Doc.
I wish I could have. Oh, I think I was working or something because I have a white Bigfoot story, but
Do you?
I would have shared it, but I wasn't on there.
Well, you'll have to come back.
Now,
It was actually our Bigfoot shows always do incredibly well.
now
But
if we run
The Bigfoot movie review shows don't.
well, no, because
Because
Bigfoot movie.
if we
There's
run
not a lot of
the
good
Bigfoot,
Bigfoot movies.
if we
So
run the
that's enough
Bigfoot-
about Bigfoot. I could talk
Uh-huh.
about it all night. Let's
move
talk
on.
about Platoon
All right.
or River Kwai. Who wants to go first?
I can do River Kwai if that's what
Sure.
you guys want.
Do it. Do
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Excuse me. So, starring William Holden, Alec Guinness, Jack Hawkins, who I love, and Sesue Hayakawa as a Japanese prison camp commander, Saido. This film won Best Picture for 1957 and 6 other Academy Awards, and it's considered one of the greatest epic films ever made. It's not really a war film. Bridge on the River Kwai is more of a drama. The film centers on the battle between Colonel Nicholson of the British Army, who's a prisoner in a Japanese prison camp in the jungles of Thailand, and Colonel Saito, the brutal ruler of the camp. It was directed by David Lean, who also directed tiny little films like Dr. Zhivago and Lawrence of Arabia. Epic film was, again, released in 1957. So the plot is, in 1943, Colonel Saito is tasked with constructing this bridge over, wait for it, the River Kwai, from Bangkok to Rangoon, and he only has a railway, from Bangkok to Rangoon, and he only has a few weeks to complete it, or he's going to have to commit ritual suicide for his dishonorable failure. Nicholson is a prim and proper British colonel, and he will not play by Saito's rules and refuses to have his officers perform any work. Really, this is the crux of the film, the battle of wits between the colonels. But in reality, the brutal Saito is just a punk bitch, and he acquiesces to Nicholson's demands rather quickly. But he was played quite well by Hayakawa. Saito he's prone to temper tantrums and even balls like a baby when he realizes who's really in command of the camp's prisoners. Nicholson begins to help Saito construct the bridge, and we come to the second, deeper theme of the film, which is Nicholson's tireless devotion to building the bridge for the enemy that will ultimately cost Allied lives. Excuse me. Throw in the crass Commander Shears, played by Holden, clearly hands down the best character in the film, as a smart aleck American prisoner, and we have a party. During the construction of the bridge, Shears escapes, and he's picked up by the Allies, and he's forced to agree to go on a mission back to destroy the bridge, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Holden and legendary military actor Jack Hawkins, who is one of my favorite all-time actors, they traverse the jungle back to the bridge and plant explosives just as the train is about to, traverse the bridge. Guinness sees the wire and flips out, not wanting his precious bridge to get blowed up. So he screws up the plan, gets everybody killed, realizes he's the ultimate douche, takes some shrapnel to the head, and falls on the explosives plunger just as the train is crossing the bridge. Boom. Film over. The film was filmed in what is now Sri Lanka, and it grossed about $15 million during its release year. So I've seen this movie probably 3 or 4 times, and I really liked it when I was a kid, but this time it kind of fell flat for me. It was a little slow. It wasn't bad, and if you haven't seen it, you should, but it was just a little slow, in 2024 as compared to, when I had seen it as a kid with my dad. And then later on, it was just before summer break in middle school. They, the whole auditorium filled up, and I don't know, the teachers must have been smoking something because they showed this film to us, and that was that. And I loved it then too. We all walked out whistling and shit. It was cool. But again, this one, it felt kind of flat for me. There were certain parts of it that just kind of droned on, and it was a little slow. But this is a film that you absolutely have to see because it's one of those epic films that stars pretty much everybody from the 50s and 60s that you'll see. I liked it. Even this time I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it, if that makes any sense. So let me throw it at you and see what you guys think. What do you guys think of it? Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll go because I know Scott's seen this movie a lot of times.
Yeah.
I've never seen this movie before. Boo, boo. I've never seen this movie before. I knew it was around, advertised. William Holden was one of my favorite actors as a kid. I still like him as an actor. But I'd never seen this movie before. So I was not thrilled about seeing it. I thought it was going to be like The Bridges at Tokoria. That movie sucked. But so I went into this expecting this to suck. I knew the theme, the Colonel Bogey's March or whatever. The whistling. That's iconic. If you haven't whistled it, heard it before, well, you got to find it. Watch this movie, find that. But anyway, I like this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought I would hate it. It did have some slow parts in it, but I love war camp movies, POW movies. King Rat, Stalag 17. Love all those movies.
Also, William Holden movie.
Yeah. Without William Holden, this movie probably wouldn't have been as good. My favorite part in this is when the British want him to go back to blow up the bridge. And he's like, and he's not. He's pretending to be an officer,
Yeah.
and he breaks the British the news. Well, I'm not really an officer, and they're like, we know, and we asked the Navy if we can have you, and the Navy said yeah, and him trying to squirm out of that it's hilarious. It's really funny, And then when and then he finally relents to join the mission, and the British commander comes in, and Jack Hawkins says, "Hey, uh, Commander Shears has agreed to go with us," and the British commander's like, "Oh, jolly good, jolly good," and William Holmes just, like, I'm I'm screwed. His character was even Obi-Wan Kenobi, great actor, but the Force couldn't even hold a candle to William Holden in this movie because his character you can identify with. The reluctant hero that he doesn't want to go back into this mess. He's got it good. He's got all the ladies, almost all the way to the bridge blowing up. He's got ladies, you know. I like this movie a lot. I was, it felt like it held up for a movie of this age. All the acting was great. It had all these British actors that are in every World War II movie you see in the 60s and 70s. Especially, there's one in a prison camp. He's in Guns of Navarone and Too Late the Hero, and I can't think of his name right now. Oh, Percy Herbert, the blonde-haired guy. He's in all those as a sergeant. He always dies.
Plays the same
Anyway,
character every time. Yeah.
yeah, good movie. I recommend. If you haven't seen this movie, yeah, there's some slow parts in it because it was made in the 50s. Good movie, really good movie. Okay, historian man.
All right. I love this movie. It historically it is inaccurate because the Japanese brutalized the poor guys that worked on the railroad. And the bridge over the River Kwai, I've been there. It's metal. As a movie, this is fantastic. I love the fact that Nicholson wants to prove the British superiority over the Japanese by showing them we can build this bridge. And all of his officers are hinting at him, should we really be doing this? And it was just that narcissistic mentality. He didn't realize it until the very end of the movie. I was a little disappointed in the guy who plays the Japanese commander. I really can't picture a Japanese commander crying. I would have almost expected him to slice his head off. But yes, this is a fantastic movie. Let me throw out a few little facts. The British in the movie and the Japanese making the movie hated the director, David Lean, because the British were all upset. We would never do something like this. We would commit sabotage. The Japanese were pissing and moaning. What, you think we're such bad engineers? We couldn't build a bridge. So there was a lot of tension on the set. Remember all the scenes with the pretty blonde girl when Shira was back at the movie almost wasn't released because the studio said there's not enough white women in this movie. So they had to go back.
Where are all the white women?
Yeah, they had to go back and film all those scenes with him before they would release the movie. So that could be one reason why it seemed so long. To me, the longest parts were him at the beach. But it is based on a novel by Pierre Boulle, who also wrote Planet of the Apes. He worked on the railroad. So a lot of the stuff he was there. And the presentation at the beginning, when they come marching into the camp and they're ragged and they've got no shoes and that, was perfect representation of what it was really like in those camps. But he wrote it from being a Frenchman. He wrote it from the point of view of the Vichy, the officers who sided with the enemy. But he just made, rather than French, because he felt nobody would have cared, he made it a British officer. Before I go, two stupid little facts. Did anybody ever see The Geisha Boy with Jerry Lewis? No. It takes place in the Korean War. It was made in the late 50s, early 60s. And the guy who plays the Japanese commander is in the movie. And he's taking care of his grandson, who, grows a fatherly bond with Jerry Lewis. When he meets him at the house, the lawn crew is in the back building a miniature version of the bridge in the River Kwai.
Oh, wow.
And the infamous song, the Colonel Bogey March, that everybody knows, everybody whistles. Do you know what that originally is?
No.
Really?
Not Hitler or something, right?
It was a popular song that the British Army developed, and the British Army sang it all the time. You didn't hear the lyrics. You heard the tune and the lyrics, and if you are sensitive, shut this down for a minute. The lyrics are, Hitler has only got one ball, Goering has two, but they are small. Hitler has
Remember that.
and poor Goebbels has no balls at all. So I'm watching this, and they're stamping their feet. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, it's a really moving scene, but I know what they're singing. So they popularized a very dirty British song. But this is a great movie. It is one of the best. And you're right, Rich. It's not really a war movie. It takes place during the war. But it's one of the best war movies ever made. I could watch this thing 1,000, not like every weekend, but it's brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, brilliantly choreographed.
It was brilliantly shot too.
Yes,
cinematography for the 50s.
I mean cinematography. I didn't mean choreographed. There was no dancing. Well, there was dancing at the end.
There was dancing.
Yes, at the end when they were having a celebration. And those guys look good in coconuts. But yeah, I highly recommend this movie.
David Lean, the director, he almost drowned while they were making this. They were off scene, I guess, and he was just in the river, and he got swept downriver, like went over a waterfall and stuff like that. They thought he was dead, and then they found him sitting on the bank of the river. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't die."
Now, one thing I was trying to figure out, they said that they were going to really blow up. They were going to blow up the bridge that they had made as they sent a fake train across it. And they had to stop the filming because somebody was underneath the bridge. So they had to go back and do it again. I always thought that was just like a little mini special effect, but I could see how great it would be if they blew up the real bridge with a fake train.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you can only get one take.
Hey, Rich, on your story there, I think I read somewhere it was the actor that played the doctor that saved him, actually, from drowning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I like that character. I like the character of the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
He was in a lot of stuff, too, back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
oh, yeah.
As that
He got
character.
screwed.
Okay.
He got screwed at the end, though. He's stuck in the jungle by himself.
Yeah.
But he was the super ego of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, he was the only rational of the four of them.
He was the Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the, and I'm glad he lived. But
yeah, me too. Maybe you caught up with Jack Hawkins and the Siamese girls, and they saved him.
All good. Siamese girl.
Yeah. It's a good movie, though. I've never seen this movie, and I love those movies. And this one always, to me, I think I saw The Bridges of Tokori, and I thought it was a pretty dry movie and pretty long, boring movie, and I got them too confused,
Yeah.
Well, what would you rate it?
Do we go on to Hadley go first?
Hadley didn't watch it.
What do you got, Hadley?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, no, she did. Wait, she watched half of it.
No, I watched half of Platoon.
Oh,
I didn't get to this. I thought that I would have to. I try and take off at 4 on Thursdays so I can watch the movies if I miss them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was working till almost 6. So
okay. Well, I'm going to give it, since Hadley's not here in spirit. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I really enjoyed this movie.
Well, Alan, I will say this, that I'm going to watch it now based on your review.
It's totally worth it. It is.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you and Scott love it, but Alan and I hadn't seen it. So Alan giving it a good review makes me think I should watch it. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
But, me, I'm weird.
I know, but I mean,
It's fine.
between you and Rich, we're all pretty much on the same page. Scott's the one that throws me off.
Scott throws everybody.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's my goal in life. No, I gave it a 5. It's a perfect movie.
You know what?
High
I'll go right in
rankings
the
there,
middle.
guys.
I'll go with a 4.75.
Mhm.
Nostalgia. It was a movie I had watched with my dad when I was a kid, and that means a lot. And I know he loved it. He loved the film too.
He's always the
All
best.
right.
Doc and Max give it a 4.5.
Nice.
And Ash says, "Watch it, Hallie. It's worth it."
I will. I will
Definitely a
do
good
that.
pick. Was this your pick,
Yeah.
Scott?
No, I
Great
didn't
pick,
pick
man.
any of these.
With Riches.
Oh,
Oh,
Rich's.
that's
Oh,
what Hadley was telling me the other day. I don't remember picking it, but I'm glad I did. Good film.
yeah. Well, thanks for introducing me to it.
I'm glad you liked it.
Who's whose pick was Platoon now?
It's
Anybody?
just the generic one that we paired with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Though
what?
I have
Yeah.
to say, the whole time I was watching Platoon, I was thinking to myself, I can't believe we haven't reviewed Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yeah.
Another one. The writer.
I used to love that movie. I rewatched it, and anyway, you don't want my review right now.
No.
Um, who wants to do Platoon?
You do Platoon.
Huh?
You, Alan, you do Platoon.
Okay, I'll follow. Okay, Platoon follows college dropout crusader Chris Taylor as he in 1967, I believe, or 68 in Vietnam, is he's the new guy that's introduced to a platoon of mostly seasoned vets in I forgot where they're at in Vietnam, near Cambodia, I think. And this follows his as he goes through his year of being over there, his tour of duty. And there's a lot of growing up and changing that he does as he sees the things that happen to himself, to his fellow soldiers, and just to the whole Vietnamese landscape. Uh, he ends up under the wing of Sergeant Elias, who is he's been in the army, I think, like 3 years or something. He's been in Vietnam probably 3 years, it sounds like. And he takes him under his wing and shows him how to get high in a bunker and how to carry his pack and just takes care of it. He takes care of his squad. The platoon sergeant is Tom Berenger, and he is war weary to say the least. He's battle scarred. He's uh he's amoral. He wants his men to survive. That's one thing, but he's pretty brutal at the way he runs it. And as they progress, Elias becomes kind of like the first Chris Taylor, which is played by Charlie Sheen, looks up to Tom Berenger, but then he sees that Tom Berenger is kind of an evil dude, and he goes more for Elias, who's more even killed, thoughtful. Uh, I want to say a nicer person, for lack of a better word, right now. And they end up having some of the guys in their platoon get killed by the Vietnamese, and they run into this village. They find weapons and stuff. In this village, it appears that really the VC are coming in and brutalizing the villagers, making them keep the weapons, grow the rice. That's what it seems like. So they lose it, because they're upset at their friends' deaths and the way they were killed, and they burn this village to the ground. They kill some civilians, and this is the hardest scene I think in the movie is them brutalizing this village. I mean, you can see, their anger and what's driving them, and they just lose control. And Tom Berenger ends up shooting this Vietnamese lady in cold blood, I guess. And uh, Elias sees it and turns it into their commanding officer, played by Dale Dye, the guy that trained he was a Marine, and he trained all of them for this movie. Turns it into him, and he's there's going to be an investigation, and then there's a lot of tension between that. If you haven't seen this movie, I don't want to really give anything away that towards the end, but if you have, well, if you haven't, plug your ears right now. Elias gets shot by Tom Berenger, who's Elias is played by William Dafoe, by Tom Berenger, and left for dead. And as they're leaving in their choppers, they see Elias running, being chased by the Vietnamese, and he's getting shot. And then they realize that Tom Berenger had lied, left him for dead. And so Charlie Sheen is very angry at this, along with the rest of the guys. And it's a split camp. There's guys that worship Berenger and guys that worship Defoe. And Berenger's just this presence that they're afraid of. They're afraid to fight because he will kill them. And at the end, there's this big attack on the base, and Charlie Sheen ends up killing Tom Berenger, and then he ends up getting in a helicopter because he's wounded and taking off, and all is good in his world. This is a great movie, great Vietnam War movie. Took my dad to see it, and he's a Vietnam vet, and he said, yeah, it rained a lot more when I was there, but it really struck a chord with him. But a lot of great actors in this. You got Defoe, Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Forrest Whitaker, Johnny Depp, the dude from Scrubs.
McKinley.
You got a plethora of actors in here. It's just
Kevin
great.
Dillon.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, a lot of these
Great
guys
movie.
weren't big names at that time.
Yeah, a lot of them were. And they were all sent to a boot camp there I think this was filmed in the Philippines, right? So they were all there and they had to go through it and it became like a brotherhood. There's a good documentary on this. It's really interesting called Brothers in Arms. And it's about the platoon, making a platoon. It's really neat. It gives you a lot of insight into this. It's a good movie. It's a good war. It's an anti-war movie, of course. Oliver Stone, but it's worth watching.
It's almost semi-biographical on
It
Oliver
is.
Stone.
You're right. You're right. This is my third favorite Vietnam War movie. So, what do you guys think?
What's your
Yeah,
first?
Boys in Company C,
Yeah.
Unbeatable.
and then Hamburger Hill.
Hamburger Hill's good.
So,
I have not seen Boys in Company C, so apparently I need to see it.
that's a
I'm
hard
big
one to
Full
find,
Metal
but
Jacket
it's
fan.
really good.
I love Full Metal Jacket.
We Were Soldiers.
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
my favorite.
that's brutal.
but that is, I love the fact that they did it from the Vietnamese point of sight too.
Mhm. So I have a lot of trivia on this one. I want to start with one that's poignant, and then I'm going to tell you one that I think is hilarious. All right. So Roger Ebert said in his review, Francois Truffaut once said that it was impossible to make an anti-war film, that the act of depicting war glorified it and ended up making it look like fun. I wish he had lived to see Platoon. Here is a movie shot at the ground level from the entry man's point of view, and it does not make war look like fun.
Well,
And that's a Roger Ebert quote, the movie reviewer, which I think is wonderful. I think that I think Oliver Stone, this is, in my opinion, probably the best film he ever made.
I will agree.
The second information that I have is that, well, I mean, I've got some funny people who applied for roles, but Val Kilmer auditioned for the role of Elijah's, and he did it as a witchy shaman Native American type. And it was very strange, and everyone did not know what to think about it. Needless to say, he did not get the role.
Well, you know why he cast these two guys? Because at that time, Berenger was known for his good guy roles, and Defoe was known for his villain roles because he just played villains. Remember Streets of Fire, Live and Die in L.A. He just played villains up to that point, and so he wanted them to switch.
And both
At
of
least
them
that's
got
what I read.
nominated for Academy Awards for their role in this film. and it was the only time I think that Berenger was ever nominated.
Wow, I can see that. You know, he's dropped into B movie hell, unfortunately.
He did, and I think Charlie Sheen was quoted saying that the reason that Berenger had brought that much intensity to the role was he was going through a very ugly divorce.
Mm.
That would make you
And
want
this
to
is
burn
before
down.
Sheen got that tiger blood, so that was some good
I
acting.
know he
by
was
him.
not by winning at this movie. He
Yeah.
actually, I mean, a lot of young Hollywood really went for this role. Keanu Reeves is one of the people. It was actually offered to Kyle McLaughlin. I can't. It's not Sarah McLaughlin, but Kyle. You know that guy that was in the original Dune.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah, Twin Peaks guy. He was offered
Oh
it.
wow.
A lot of people were up for the role. Johnny Depp had an audition for it, and he did not get it because Oliver Stone thought he was too young. And actually, the movie was supposed to be made like 2 years prior to when it was filmed, and Charlie Sheen auditioned and did not get it. It went to his brother, Emilio Estevez, who, by the time that they got their finances and all lined up, Emilio had signed on to do another film. So,
Um, Max brought up Keith. Keith David was in this too, from The Thing,
Yes.
and They Live. Great role for him. You had the guy from, you know, that, have you ever heard that rock band? It's African American rock band, Living Color. The lead singer, Corey Glover, played Charlie Sheen's sidekick. You know, at the end, the one that stabs himself so he doesn't have to, you know, so he gets choppered out. That's the lead singer of Living Color. You know, they had that song, The Cult of Personality.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Well, I really
So it
enjoyed
had a
watching it.
an eclectic cast, and Johnny Depp did not like Oliver Stone. He got into it. If you watch that documentary, I tell you, do yourself a favor, watch the documentary, Brothers in Arms. Johnny Depp's on it, Keith David, all talking about the movie. And
But
then
Oliver
there was a
Stone knew that Johnny Depp was going to be a big star. He said so when
that
they cast him.
yeah, he for some reason, I forgot the reason because it's been a while since I saw the documentary. But they would go to this bar there. They'd all hang out, and it was sad because, you know, they all the guys get killed off. Most of them get killed off, right? So as they got killed off, they would leave. So and they'd party. They had their own band. They made their own band. You know, Depp sang, played guitar. A bunch of other guys did stuff, and they would leave. The group would get smaller. Core group would get smaller and smaller and smaller until it was only like Charlie Sheen and, you know, a couple other guys. You know, so it's really interesting to watch. And I'm gonna now let you guys talk because I'm sorry.
No, you did great. That was good. What did you think, Scott?
I love this movie.
It's almost a perfect movie. I do not like Oliver Stone movies. They're propaganda. This was a brilliant, because like Hadley said, you know, it depicted the war the way it truly was, without a political slant to it. The horror that these guys went through, the horror that the Vietnamese went through. And you know, it was done. The acting, I'm used to seeing David Keith in sci-fi movies. He did a great job in this. Defoe and Berenger rock. They were fantastic, and I love the way they followed Charlie Sheen from being the virgin to becoming more, more trained, more experienced, taking on the newer kids, and then eventually, being the guy who kicks ass in the firefight at the end. And Oliver Stone was in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gets blown up.
Yeah,
Blow it up.
but no, this is a great movie. It's probably one of Charlie Sheen's best. I was shocked to see some of the actors I forgot that were in it, because when I first saw it, Kevin Dillon, Johnny Depp were no one.
Yeah.
Tony Todd.
Kevin Dillon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's another one I highly recommend it. It's one of the best, and I think it depicts the war in Vietnam more accurately than any other.
Wow.
And the characters too. just that hatred between Berenger and Defoe is just, and how they all take sides. It's great.
And Kevin, I'm glad you brought up Kevin Dillon. I forgot about him. His bunny was great in that. I like a piece of. I like a piece of. Well, maybe the Indy
You got
500 or whatever is
Yeah.
better than having a piece of. His mom did not like with the scene with the little Vietnamese girls. He said he was embarrassed for his mom to watch that scene.
well, that's what I was just going to bring up. That
Oh, go ahead.
that scene is the crux of the hatred and the division between the platoon, because there is a scene in this. This is what Alan was just referring to, where a group of the platoon guys attempt to rape a kid. She's like what, 12, 13, something like that. She was really young, and they're gonna go in and they're gonna rape her, and a bunch of the other guys stop it, or sort of stop it. And Tom Berenger was like, "Leave my guys alone." And Elias and Willem Dafoe's like, "No, this is bad news." And so that was part of the reason for the division of the platoon and why one side hated the other. And while I'm not a particular fan of Oliver Stone's politics, I thought he kind of nailed this pretty well, because I mean, some of that stuff did go on, but at the end of the day, I mean, personally, I think it didn't happen a lot. I think from what I've heard from you know what, they were there in the shit, and it was bad news. But scenes like that in a film, even though it was an important scene for this movie, they push people against our armed forces, and I don't particularly care for that. Like I said, I don't care for Stone's politics, but I do like this movie. This is a great film. The actors are just every single one of those actors was perfect for the role they're in. If you're a guy who likes guns, if you're a person who likes guns, firearms, there's lots of them in here, lots of blood, plenty of guts, explosions. There's a huge attack on their base at the end of the film. That's really cool the way they're fighting it off. And it's definitely worth a watch. I would absolutely watch this film if you haven't seen it. Really, if you haven't seen it, it's criminal. It's kind of like not seeing Bridge on the River Kwai. It's a crime. You got to go see it. So
the only thing I disagree with you is I don't think Oliver Stone was trying to paint our troops in a bad light.
No, I don't think that either. I think people seeing that scene immediately say, "Oh my God, the Vietnamese soldiers were all rapists." And that wasn't the case.
And they did. I think he did a great, like right after the scene with the rape and the destroying the village. You see some of the good guys. Like one of them's carrying a kid on his shoulder, letting him wear his helmet.
Yeah,
that's an iconic scene.
Yeah,
that's an iconic scene. Them walking away from that ville as it burns, and
I mean,
weapons blow up.
that village was My Lai.
Yeah.
And just at the end, I think that's what the oh my God, I can't think of the one with Mel Gibson when he had to call in an airstrike.
We were soldiers.
Yeah, when he had to call in the airstrike on his own position. So, yeah, the casting on that was just excellent.
Yeah, I think Dale Dye is underrated too, because he was the advisor on most of those Vietnam movies with R. Lee Ermey. I think they were buddies actually. They were buddies, and they did a lot of movies together. And I think his act, and he does some acting once in a while. You'll see him in a movie or a TV show playing a military type, And I liked his character in this. He seemed realistic as an officer. Great movie though. Oh my gosh.
Adley, you gave us some trivia, but you didn't really talk about the film. What did you think about it?
Me?
I thought it was horrific. I mean, it captures the essence of man in a way that you don't often see portrayed in film. The whole Kevin Dillon meltdown when he starts beating that boy with the butt of that shotgun or whatever the gun was. Anyway, and blood is like it. The horror of it just like chilled the fuck out of the Charlie Sheen character, Chris. You know, he just like lost his shit. It was dance, you know, and making the little one-legged guy dance, and it's terrible. And you're just sitting there. But then when he sees what lengths Bunny goes to, he just is like, "What's going on?" And it's like
He
it
doesn't
just
stop.
totally. It's like that moment broke him back down to where he needed to be, and it was intense. It was tragic. It was everything that you think war would be like if you haven't experienced it.
Hmm.
It had that feralness to it, and I mean, it's almost tangible. Like you almost could smell the blood in that hut, and the smell, and the stink. You know, it was terrible.
Probably in that scene, Kevin Dillon accidentally hit that guy in the face. And him and Charlie Sheen felt so bad about it. I guess he's got cataract. The guy had cataracts. And they went and took a bunch of their per diem money that they had and they gave it to him to get his cataracts fixed. But they felt Kevin Dillon talks about how bad he felt about actually, he hit the guy in the face and the guy kept acting. He said he didn't really know that the guy knew what was really going on because of the language barrier too.
No.
But that scene's very intense. It takes the air out of the movie when you're watching it. You're just like, you know.
And it made me think. There's another scene in another movie about somebody shooting at somebody saying, I think it was at Blind Date when he's like, "Dance,
Yeah.
motherfucker," and then he's
Yeah.
like, "Moonwalk." I hate that shit. You remember? And I mean, I kind of thought
Yeah.
about that during it, but I mean, it wasn't funny. It was really real, and it was really scary. And it's like you could feel it. You could feel that tension.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do
I'm
you
away
guys
from
rate?
2.5 Men.
Yeah. What do you rate it, Hadley?
I'm going to give it a 5.
Whoa. Damn. All right. Scott.
5.
Striking. Alan.
5.
Damn you people. I will also give it a 5.
Wow.
This is like only the third time that's ever happened.
I know. Well, it's a good film. It's a
Yeah.
good film. It's a film I don't want to like, but it was good.
Yeah.
It's one I don't want to watch again, but I mean I will if it's on. But it's a tough watch. It's not a feel good film.
No, it's
And I
not.
think that's the success. It's not like all the war films of the 60s and 70s, where it was battles and tank battles and,
Right.
guys charging. This showed what war was really like. It sucked. You died or you killed.
Oh, it was a different war for the United States too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like
World War II.
being in the trenches or going through a city in World War II. It was completely different for everyone.
Yeah.
And it was fought differently too. And this wasn't really a war of attrition. This was a kind of a money war. So it was hard.
Yeah.
But anyway, we gave it a 20. That's pretty good.
Max is saying definitely a 5. Doc is saying 4.25. Max is saying did Ray drink twice because I said a bunch of cuss words.
Yeah, Doc, it was a no-win war, definitely.
Yeah, it sure was.
Watch that documentary on the making of this called Brothers in Arms. It's really good, and it'll give you a lot of insight, and I think you'll appreciate the movie more too.
Well, I
once you
did
watch it.
read where Forrest Whitaker got incredibly ill. Did you read that, Alan?
No.
He drank. He was very thirsty, and he drank out of a river, not knowing there was a dead swine in it,
Oh,
upriver, and he was sick for
Uh-huh.
24
Wow.
hours.
Oh
it's
wow.
like he was only 24.
I know. I'm
Put my
surprised that
computer in.
he made it back from the Philippines. But it was good.
Right.
I see
liked it.
Alan's booty.
Yeah. Well, we can all see your bum.
I got to plug my computer in.
I guess we need to move on to our next item, don't we? Go ahead, boss. Lay it on me.
Okay, so last Sunday night was the season finale or the end of season 4 of True Detective. It's episode 6. I think it was 80 minutes long, and it wrapped up the tale of Annie K and her mysterious death and the death of the crazy scientist at was it Savlov? Am I saying that right? Saval.
Saval. Saval.
Saval. And this will be full of spoilers because Rich and I are about to battle to the death. This I'm not going to say it ended the way I felt like it should, and I'm not going to say I don't have a ton of questions because I do. But I really enjoyed this series. There was a lot to it that I really enjoyed. Like I said, I'm not going to say that it ended the way I would have liked it to end, but I enjoyed every episode of this show, all 6. It had me guessing. I didn't know how they were going to try and wrap it up. I didn't see it coming. I loved the overtones from John Carpenter's The Thing, from the allusion to the Davlov Pass incident, to the 30 Days of Night overtones. And it had a lot of like Cold River, which if I don't know if y'all seen Cold River, we'll be watching it this year because it's one of my favorite movies. But it just had a lot of overtones of a lot of different movies and stories that I like, and I like the supernatural elements to it, and I like that they did not science all of those supernatural elements out. So, getting into the story, who wants to go?
Oh, I'll go.
Okay, you go.
Yeah. So pretty much everything she just said is bullshit. This thing sucks.
What?
So this was a great and absolutely fantastic show. I couldn't wait for the Dyatlov Pass stuff to come out, and which is an infrasound thing, and it did have the overtones of The Thing, which was fantastic. Everybody loves The Thing. If you don't love The Thing, you're just a dick.
Take a drink.
And then, it was there were so many questions that needed to get answered, and there was such buildup, and there was a goodly amount of death, and just some weird shit that was going on. And then we get to the final episode, and they're like, you know what? No, we're not going to give you any good answers. This is all stupid. You're dumb. I hate you. And I was, oh my god! It fell so flat for me, the last episode, that it wrecked the whole thing. And I would recommend against watching it just because of that last episode. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved everything up until the last episode, but that sucked so bad. It was so terrible. And it was misleading. It didn't give us any of the answers except for how the woman who was stabbed died. That was actually the only decent part of the episode. There's this just bullshit at the end where Navarro just kind of walks off into wherever, and we're like, what the hell was that about? I don't get it. It doesn't need to happen. It was just, it let me down so much I don't like it anymore. This is a lot of times I'll go back and watch this kind of thing just because I enjoy, what happened up until a crappy scene, but that crappy episode at the end ruined it so much that I will not watch this again. In fact, it ruined it so much I might not watch the next True Detective just out of spite. So that's where I am. What do you guys think?
I don't agree.
I know you don't.
I disagree with everything you just said. Don't even have words for you, Mr.
You already said you loved it. I think it sucked.
Let me jump in only because I agree with Doc. I hated this series from the day one. The characters sucked. I could have cared less if they all died. I watched some of these episodes twice and still couldn't figure it out. when you get to the last episode, it does have a more of a true detective ending, but it still has that one big strain of the bizarre, the paranormal to it. I liked it. I liked the way they wrapped up everything. I could have cared less if Navarro ran away. Personally, if the whole goddamn town ran away, I wouldn't care less.
Who the hell are they going to run to? That's the point.
But, like Doc said, it did wind up being more like a detective show, even though it did have a very strong paranormal string at the end that's not played up too well. But I never recommended this show from episode 1. So,
Alan?
Okay. I'm glad Rich is over there.
It's all right, buddy. Come on.
I like this series. There's going to be a series 5.
Please let's not do it.
It'll be a different story. Yeah, the supernatural. I mean, I wanted it to be really supernaturally. What's wrong with having a really supernaturally story? I mean, Supernatural ran for what? 1,000,000 episodes. Why can't we have a supernaturally detective series? That there's something out there, something really out there. We see it, not just she's there, she's coming back. Who's coming back? I like the acting in this. I like the setting in it. Story was okay. Yeah, what the hell happened at the end? I know Navarro, they kept stressing something was calling Navarro, and she was stressing something was calling me, and Jody's like, no, don't go yet. If you go though, contact me, which I guess apparently happened at the end. I liked it. I did like it. But I wish it was a horror story more than a detective story. And for all you out there, Pryor's going to be okay. I read a thing saying Pryor's going to be okay. He's going to go on with his life. And there's only one gunfight in this, really. And True
But
Detective
what a
has
gunfight, right?
Well, look at season 2. Well, if you watch season 2, they've got an awesome. Same with season 3. They've got some good gunfights in it. They're known for the gunfights. I love that aspect of it. I'm weird, but I want it to be scary, spooky.
You talking about the gunfight in the house?
That's the only gunfight they had, right?
Yeah. How is that in any way a gunfight? There were 3 shots fired.
It was him.
It had guns.
I have guns. I'm not fighting with him.
But this one, I mean, if you watch season 2, man, there's a great shootout in it. Season 3, I believe that's a good one. Season 1, there's a good one. I mean, anyway.
I got questions,
like
and y'all are just ignoring the questions.
What questions?
How the hell did what's his name, Dr. Lost in Space, get from where Navarro had him chained and duct taped all up in the chair to outside frozen stiff?
Well, she let him out.
I wanted to see that shit.
That wasn't covered.
It was.
But she let him out. Remember, it shows him confessing, and he's
let him out, or did she kill him?
Yeah.
So are we talking about some kind of mystic force that froze everyone then? Like, when they let them out of the back of the truck and they're running off naked.
Rich, it's really cold there. Rich, it's really cold there.
I understand, but
really
can't flash freeze in 5 seconds. It doesn't work.
So let me go back to the whole Dovlov Pass incident, which the whole thing that they said about the scientists freezing in that freak nature event is exactly what they say about the Dovlov Pass incident. Exactly what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's BS.
If I didn't want anybody to know about it.
Well, I know, because it's about influence now. But either way, they didn't talk about the reindeer. They didn't talk about the reindeer running off the cliff. Why'd the reindeer run off the cliff? Well, it wasn't because of some supernatural woman seeking revenge because they killed a girl in a cave 7 years ago. So there's a lot of other stuff that was going on. It did not address the fact that there was a lot of tie-ins to the other element. And by the way, Did Rose kill Travis?
You wonder after all that.
All
you
of
wonder.
these
I know, right?
questions are feeding into my point of no, this sucked.
No,
Because
but
they
it
should have
didn't. It
told us
makes
at
it
least
makes you
some
use
of
your
it.
imagination and
Yeah,
and puzzle through the pieces. I mean, I would have liked it to be all tied up in a neat, nice little box, Mr. Restucci, but it wasn't,
no,
and
I know
I'm
that.
fine with
This was
that.
my
It
point.
doesn't take away from the fact that it was good TV and that I enjoyed it and that
It was
I was
great TV
lost in it
up
for
until the
6
last
episodes.
episode, and then
It
Six
was
crap.
good
It's
episodes.
acting.
no, it
It
does not
copped out.
compare. It does not compare to the season finale of Game of Thrones ever.
What it copped out on this. They only did 6. I guess the guy was only paid for 6 episodes. The
Yeah,
showrunner.
that's something else.
They could have done 2 more episodes. You know,
No,
it
Or
was just
or they
lazy.
could have just tied shit up in the last episode, and I would have been,
Well,
yeah,
it's
this
just
is
lazy.
great. I would have been with you two saying, oh my god, this is fantastic. But today I'm with him, and it sucked. No, forget about it. I don't need to see this shit.
Well, I want to know what the peanut gallery thinks.
well,
Max says I
liked
think they
it
meant
as
to
a
have
whole,
episodes, but someone said
but
it
he
cut.
thought
It
this
just
was
sticks
the
at the
worst
last minute.
episode.
Well, I'm going to
They
say
put
this and hate
alien
me all you
nuclear
want to, but
killer rabbit.
damn, Jodie Foster was great.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
she
She
was.
was great in
I
it.
think all the actors were fantastic. It was very well acted. Cinematography was spooky because of where it was. You got that trapped feeling like you could never get anywhere. But it still didn't answer any of the questions I wanted to answer, and that's it left me wanting, which is why I thought it ruined it. It completely ruined it for me.
and it shouldn't. It shouldn't do that.
No,
It's a
you could have
movie
answered
series shouldn't leave you like that.
Tell me about the tongue. What happened? What was that about?
Yeah, they never
It
really.
made it made it completely unnecessary to have it there. The
I want
orange.
to know about the crying baby at the scene of the crime when they killed that wife beater.
Yeah, there's
And no
so
one said
many
anything about the crying baby. The baby cried. Everybody looked like surprised, like, oh, there's a baby.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be somebody, but no, it
I
wasn't.
thought
Yeah, I
that I
thought it was
thought there'd
going to
be
be.
more to that.
I thought it was going to be her daughter, Jodie Foster's
Her
daughter.
daughter.
And it just didn't end
Yeah.
up. It ended up that was just it was in my head. It just went away. So that was.
Yeah,
But if they had tied
Max
up,
says the tongue was dropped by Hank. They kind of
I
allude
want to
to
know
that,
what happened to the
but they
native,
don't.
the man that had been the engineer that went missing. Remember how they went back to his
Yeah,
place and he was just poof gone? What
yeah,
happened to
yeah.
him? Was that him at the end that was walking alongside the closed mine?
I
Or
don't
was that the hunter from the beginning? And what about the ear bleeds?
know. Again, infrasound maybe, or a pissed off God. I don't know. They left us hanging on so
Yeah,
many things,
Well,
which
I
is
just think
yeah.
that there's more.
frustrating
I
me.
mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings that they did it. It makes me want more.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. It angers me. I'm frustrated with the fact that
You've got feelings over it.
I mean, I suppose that said, I mean, all they're going to do is just give us a little bit more, and it would have been fine. And Max brings up the point that the tongue was dropped by Hank when he cut it out as a well, theoretically it was dropped by Hank. We can't ask Hank because Hank's got a bullet in his head and he's at the bottom of the ocean in the Arctic. So it was pointless, the whole thing. I mean, it was there to grab our attention, and it never got explained as to what it was completely unimportant to the story. Yet
Well, I'm
it was
still talking
throughout
about
the
it.
story, making me want to know what the hell was going on. So there was no reason. If Hank pulled the tongue out of her mouth to prove a point, what was the point? Keep silent? Because nobody was silent. I mean, everybody was talking about it, and that ended up being, the crux of it all. But at the same time, it wasn't explained, so it pissed me off. I'm still pissed off.
I think she was dead at the end.
Navarro.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
Well, that's what I was going to say when Alan said that she showed up with Jodie Foster. I kind of thought she was dead. I kind of thought she walked off into the frozen waste and she turned into a copsicle. But I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. It just seemed to me like Jodie Foster was talking to her and she was dead. And Jodie Foster could finally see the spooky stuff.
Jodie Foster always saw the spooky stuff. I thought she was just in denial.
Yeah,
Same
she
thing.
wasn't.
Then
She had to
was
die.
more opened up to it.
Yeah.
She died in the water, and then Navarro brought her back, so now she could see clearly.
That was
That's what the
something else.
showrunner said. I read something on it. Yeah.
Extremely unlikely she would have survived.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't like the crazy women all going into the scientist place like the fucking French Revolution. You
I
know,
did.
Uh,
I like that.
it was too over the top for me. I don't know that
Like the first
there
5
was
episodes
there
were.
was no surprise element. I mean, they just went and did it, which I guess maybe that's how you do stuff like that. I don't know.
yeah.
But
I kind of like that part though. It was too
Well,
simple though.
I'm not saying I didn't. I liked that the women took back their power, but I didn't like that. There was no surprise element. It was just like, bam, they're there.
Right. I wanted a monster going through the station. That's what I wanted. But
but they couldn't
I
do
needed
that
I
because
needed more polar bear on the land. I needed the polar bear to kill somebody, and I kept wondering why when they were all out wandering around the town where the polar bear was, because polar bears are starving to death in Alaska, and I was thinking, here's a meal, but
yeah, it
Yeah,
was
no.
that
like
was
Max
something
says.
else.
It was lazy writing. I think it was lazy writing of a good story. You've all been there where I want to end this. So nuclear bomb, everybody's gone. I mean
And
that's just lazy writing. Lazy writing, no payoff for us.
Well,
I didn't, Mike. I didn't know it was a book before it was turned into the series.
I didn't either. I enjoyed it, and
I didn't
I'm
either.
not going to take it back. I wish they. I want to see more, and for every writer on this panel who has a 4 or 5 or 6 book series that leaves their readers hanging, I'm just going to say, why are you bitching? Um,
I don't leave my writers. I don't leave my readers hanging at the last book.
uh-huh.
I don't think.
So an excellent point, Scott, because if there were another television show after that last debacle piece of crap, then where they explained anything, then yeah, that would have been great. Like Alan said, this should have been 2 shows longer. But you know what they didn't do? That. They didn't have it 2 shows longer. They cut it off halfway through. It was like, you know what we're going to do? Let's fuck with them. And they just stop everything. I'm sorry.
we
That's
we have
ordering this
made
graveyard.
Landa run out of alcohol.
I
She's leaving
know.
us.
Randall's just going to have to like lay on the couch and fall asleep and just close the laptop.
Okay, I want to say something just to set straight. If you have not watched True Detective, but this is the first True Detective season you've watched, every season is different. So when they're coming out with a new one, don't be like, I mean, just don't be like, oh man, season 4 sucked. Season 5 will be a whole different story, whole different characters, and
And
that's
if you
how
haven't
this
watched
True
season
Detective
one,
works.
don't forget season one, Alan.
I can't.
Oh yeah, season 1's great. I ran into somebody that hated season 1, but they're an strange person. So, but it's definitely a series to check out. It really is. They all don't end like that. Some don't have a great payoff, but the endings are all explainable, except for this one. This one you're like, is she dead? Is she? Is she? What happened?
I honestly didn't care. Okay, we know what happened to the girl. We know what
Well,
happened to the guys in the thing. That's all I care about.
unlike Scott Baker, I liked these characters. I really grew to like the women. And in case y'all did not know, the incredible woman who played Navarro is actually a champion fighter. Like
Really?
what did I show you, Rich? She was little lightweight, middleweight, something.
Yeah. She's
Yeah, she's
badass.
a professional, right?
Top chick. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's from Rhode Island. One of my friends in Rhode Island actually is friends with her sister. So
Yeah.
that's
Tina
how I
said
found that.
she's watching this weirdly. She says one-eyed bear, dude, and stuffed. Oh, one-eyed beer, dude, and stuffed beer. I think she's been having a little bit. She's talking about the guy with the messed up eyes, then the bear, and
Yeah.
the
The
Otis.
guy with the no legs sitting up in the bed and pointing out and doing the woo voice. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there
a
was
lot of,
so
and we
much
didn't get any
potential
answers.
here, and it just went unrealized, and that is what frustrates me the most. This was a great,
the acting,
great series up until the last one, and then they were just like, "No, we're just gonna. This sucks. I'm gonna give up." Is what I'm gonna
Well,
do.
maybe we should start a letter writing campaign to ask for more answers.
They got their money. They don't care.
Yeah.
I
well,
don't
there's a
know.
lot floating around on
They did it
Facebook.
for Firefly.
Firefly
Yeah.
was cult classic, excellent, fantastic show.
Firefly
They
just
made a
showed
movie
out a
because people
sequence
complain.
too.
And
Yeah.
sometimes other stations pick up shows like Longmire to give them the end they deserve.
Oh, please, no.
Guess
Don't
we will
pick
have to see.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys rate this? Badly?
I'm going to give it a 4. And it's only
Rick?
getting a 4 because I still have so many questions they didn't answer. I would give it a 5 if they had finished it all out. But I enjoyed it. I
Rick?
mean, I'd watch it again just to see what I missed.
All right.
So the first 5 episodes, I'll give a 4. The last episode is going to take 2 of those stars away. So this is getting a 2. Because I'm so frustrated. It was so good. It had such potential. And that potential went unrealized. And that's what really... I'm past, it was okay. It pissed me off. It was so lazy and so unnecessary. And like I said, unrealized. Screw them. They'll get a 2. You get a 2. Scott?
Scott?
Alan first.
Alan?
I'll give this one a 4. The acting carried me through it. I want I really want some of the stuff explained, but I figure it's just the writer just like, Matt, 6 episodes, you paid me for that. Here we go.
Exactly.
0.5. I would rather have had a proctology exam by Captain Hook because it would have hurt just as bad, but wouldn't have been 6 hours long.
I don't know, man. Hook's got some pretty nasty. Would have been 6 hours long.
All
We
right.
go way back.
So next week, what's on tap?
To Live and Die in LA, Heat, and Less Than Zero.
Ooh, we're doing this. I think next year, February, is going to be William Dafoe month. Because it has been William Dafoe month this year.
It has been, huh?
It has. This is our 3rd William Dafoe movie. I just like saying his name too. William Dafoe.
William Dafoe.
Yes.
William
He
Dafoe.
is a national treasure, and we should all just accept what a wonderful character actor he is.
Yeah.
All right.
Live and Die in LA is my pick.
Live and Die in LA is okay. So it's going to be a good week. I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't know. Do we have all the movies downloaded or uploaded, or where are we watching?
I guess we'll have to figure that out later.
I think we have To Live and Die in LA and Heat, I believe. And I think Less Than Zero is downloaded too. So
I've seen the other 2, but I've never heard of Less Than Zero.
Oh, you're
it's a
going to
Robert
hate it.
Downey Jr. movie.
It's what? Would you say, Alan?
It's a Robert Downey Jr. movie.
Oh, no,
James Spader when he had hair.
It's on Stars streaming. So all of you with Stars, you can watch it for free.
Nice.
And Live and Die in LA. I'm going to look these up real quick.
We will
I
have
don't
to
know if
find
it's-
them all
Yeah.
on the appropriate streaming service.
Live and Die in LA. Was that the one with oh God, I can't think of his name. The guy that was up for supposedly pedophile charges.
William Dafoe's in it, and William Peterson.
William Peterson. Yeah. I don't. No. John Turturro. It's got a great cast.
Okay.
It's a good flick.
Jane Leaves.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's from Frasier.
The dude.
And what's the other one? Less Than Zero, Live and Die in LA. And what was the third? Heat. Where's Heat playing?
One of the best gunfight scenes in a movie.
Oh my God, yes.
And Heat is on Hulu, Plex, and you can rent it on Amazon Prime for $3.99. So there you go.
We'll have to
All
see,
right, kids.
Londa. We'll have to see if I like it or not. We'll find out next week.
Well, Scott, the term $20 is $20 comes from that movie. So
Oh,
Sharks on a Plane. Doc, watch that movie. It's a good movie. Have you guys seen
Is
that
it
one yet?
I haven't
Which
seen
one?
it yet.
Sharks on the
Sharks
Plane?
on a plane. You
Not
talking
Sharks
about?
Not Plane, but
The plane crashes.
No Way Up.
Oh, yeah. No Way Up. I watched that the other night. It is surprisingly good for a cheap
It
ass.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's Scott telling us this. I don't know that I can.
Well, Alan said it too.
I've heard it from a few people.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm gonna be watching
There's a couple
Avatar: The Last Airbender starting
Yes.
tomorrow.
I'm
Came out today,
hoping.
I think.
I'm hoping someone will download some vampire movies for me.
Mm.
Have y'all seen previews for Sunrise?
Yes.
Good.
Sunrise looks good.
And that one with the little girl looks really good.
What one with the little girl?
You haven't seen the previews for that?
Oh, it's a ballerina. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that creepy shit. She was creepy. I did see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the movie. I saw the
Yeah, I gotta find that. I gotta watch that one. Gotta find it. I think it's pay-per-view. Or it hasn't come out yet, maybe at the movies.
No, I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah.
All right, kids. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. We've run a little bit over, but due to the false start, it just seems like it was a makeup.
Mhm.
But I enjoyed tonight's episode. I hope y'all did too. What y'all got going on over the weekend?
I'm watching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Well, I'm talking about Scott. He's the man that's got stuff going on.
Oh,
No, I'm just writing and editing right now. I'll probably do some more videos to put up on TikTok. So,
Alan?
Nice. I'm putting a microwave. I'm switching out microwaves above the oven.
All right.
Fun.
All right, kids. Well,
what are you
tomorrow,
doing?
what am I doing? I don't ever do anything. I'm podcasting all the time. So
Sweet.
I will say that tomorrow night the kids are back on Weird Awakenings at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I don't know what they're doing this week, but it's bound to be something crazy. They were talking earlier about the apocalypse that's upon us with all of the cell phone breakdowns and internet and power outages across the nation. So who knows where that's going to go. But it should be a fun show. They're a fun bunch. And I will say it again. If you didn't watch our longest episode ever on Weird Realities, do yourself a favor if you like Bigfoot and listen. You're bound to learn something you didn't know. And on that note, I'm going to say good night and stay weird.
Ciao.
Well,
Good night. Thanks for coming, everybody.